Alright everyone, so this is finally going to be my 2025 reading year reflection. I know everyone saw that Logan posted hers earlier on the channel, and it's also up on our Instagram. I'll link everything in the comments, but I am finally getting to mine. So these are the 5 books that I really enjoyed reading this year. Number 1 is Loveless by Alice Oseman. Now this was a really interesting book for me because several years ago I came out as asexual, and I really enjoyed Loveless because it was very similar to how I was experiencing my asexual journey. So I really enjoyed Alice Oseman's writing. I have read the Heartstopper graphic novels a while ago, and I'm really looking forward to the 6th volume of that coming out, hopefully sometime this year, I believe. But I really enjoyed Alice Oseman's writing because, again, it was very representative of how I was experiencing my asexual journey. So I am very much looking forward to the continuation of Heartstopper, as well as reading Alice Oseman's other stuff. I know I really want to read her, her book Radio Silence. So I'm really looking forward to, in the new year, getting to read more of her stuff in the future. Number 2 is Vicious by V.E. Schwab. Now, this was a really interesting book because it was very similar to, if anyone's watched it, a show like The Boys, where it was a very, I wouldn't necessarily say cynical, but more realistic look as far as how superpowers would work in a real life setting. So I really loved this. I think the way the book handles kind of how they get powers and how the different powers relate to different people's personalities, I think was really interesting. So I really want to continue that series. I already have the 2nd book, and it's on my reading list, but I'm really looking forward to the final book in the series, which is coming out in October. So I'm very much looking forward to finishing that series, and I really hope this series continues to be as good as Vicious was. So taking the number 3 spot is All Better Now by Neil Shusterman. Now, I know we talked about this earlier in our video review for this, but I really enjoyed this book. I really enjoy Neil Shusterman as an author in general, and this is very much up my wheelhouse. I really loved his Arc of the Side stuff. I really loved Unwind as well. I would personally put this between Unwind and Scythe. I think Unwind in general is, at least as far as what I've read from him, his best work, but All Better Now is really good, and I cannot wait to see the sequel to this book and how he continues the series because, again, like we talked about in the video, it was a lot of fun reading that, and I am so ready to see how he brings the series forward and to its conclusion. All right, taking the number 4 spot is Catabasis by R.F. Kuang, another author that I have recently become really enjoying their writing. I read her Poppy War series as well as Babel a while ago, and those two I think are great. And this stands as some of her best writing. I haven't read Yellowface as of right now, but it's definitely on my list to read. But I think Catabasis was a really interesting look at sort of dark academia and the various aspects of it, as well as a really interesting look as what academia, what striving for success would mean, and what people are willing to sacrifice and how far they're willing to go for it. So I'm really interested in Catabasis and her writing in general, and I really want to get to Yellowface and read it and sort of compare all of her other works, because Catabasis is very different from Babel or the Poppy War, because it's it's a mystical, but it's in a very dark, serious way. So I really am looking forward to reading the rest of her stuff. So taking the number 5 spot is going to be Kings of the Wild, and this was a very funny book that I do not expect to like as much as I did. It's about a band of adventurers who have been, out of the game for 20 years, and then circumstances force them to come back together for one last mission. if anyone really enjoys D&D and like Lord of the Rings style epic fantasies, I would definitely recommend this. It was really fun. It was really a good read, and I very highly recommend it if anyone's into like a quick fantasy that keeps you engaged the entire time. So real quick, I'm going to be talking about the most anticipated books for 2026. Taking the top spot, to no one's surprise, is going to be Pierce Brown's Red God. Now, I have waxed poetic about the Red Rising series in general, and I am so ready for Red God to come out. I think from what Pierce Brown has said, he's talked about that the inspiration for this book is Hurt, specifically the Johnny Cash version of the song. As soon as he said that, everyone just started worrying, because based on his prior writing, we're almost 100% convinced that there's no one is getting out of this book unscathed, one way or the other, regardless if they're the main character or not. It's going to be a gut punch to read this, and I am very hopeful that he sticks the landing, and I have a lot of faith that he's going to be able to stick the landing for Red God. But as far as right now, it doesn't have a solid release date, but from what we've heard, it's going to come out summer 2026 at some point. Second book that I'm really anticipating for 2026 is the last contract of Isiako by Fonda Lee, who wrote the Green Moon Saga. Now, I read the Green Moon Saga a while ago. I really enjoyed it, and I've been looking for other books from her, and I'm kind of ashamed to say I haven't read anything from her after the Green Moon Saga. So I am very much looking forward to, in 2026, to get to read several of her other books, to sort of compare them to the Green Moon Saga, because again, the Green Moon Saga I really enjoyed, and I want to read more from her. I think she's a really good author, and hopefully the rest of her stuff is just as good. If anyone's read her other stuff, what are your thoughts about it in the comments? Please don't spoil anything, but what do you think of her other work compared to the Green Moon Saga? And the last book that I'm really looking forward to in 2026 is Lord of Demons by Evan Winters, the third book of the Burning Saga. Now, I really enjoyed the Burning Saga. I don't think I've talked about it too much, but it is this sort of African inspired fantasy series that is really good. I've read the first two books, and I really enjoyed them. I have Lord of Demons got pushed back a couple of times, but as of right now, it is going to be January 20th is the planned release date, so hopefully that actually sticks and we finally get to read Lord of Demons, because the way Fires of Vengeance ended, it ended off on a really crazy cliffhanger with the main threat of the series finding the main characters on their homeland, and basically it's the beginning of this all-out war. So I'm really hyped for Lord of Demons. If Evan Winter can keep the momentum going from the other two books, I think this is going to be a very good series. Right, everyone, so that is my reading recap for 2025. If you guys have any other book suggestions or other books that you want me to check out, please leave them in the comments, and I'll hopefully get to them at some point. If you guys are interested, follow us on the channel for more stuff in the future for the year.